if I were to try to explain the nature of the aquifers, would it be better to describe them as big pots of water where eventually everything mixes, sole source aquifer, or the sky where the clouds of things are not in the water and pass from time to time? So, Stuart, you want to take that one?
So,
how do you see, I guess it's thinking about things like plumes, and the extent to which the plumes are isolated or everything sort of mixes like a lake and such.
Thank you for the question. I can tell you from our experience in monitoring both ammonia, one form of nitrogen, and nitrate, that it tends to be very localized. So the numbers that you've seen are averages for the whole aquifer. Look in the subwatersheds plan. You will see wells in there, and it's public information, that are above 10 milligrams per liter. In other places, it will be, low. It's very legacy nitrogen very much reflects both movement of groundwater over time and the source that contaminated the water in the first place. So I think I wouldn't expect that if you measured 10 different spots in the aquifer, you would see, 3.5, 3.6. I think the dispersion is going to be much greater. I'm hoping that was the question that was asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a question here specifically, I think for Nils, and it's about the emulsified vegetable oil. And specifically, how can we be sure that the emulsified or the vegetable oil you're using doesn't get into our drinking water and surface waters?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I mean, so first of all, PRBs have been installed elsewhere. We are not the first one, and including the carbon injection PRBs. So there have been studies that have been shown that these oils are typically not mobilized. They stick pretty well. There are now proprietary EVOs that are even made specifically for very coarse grains. And so through measurements, we know that they are typically not mobilized. We would not install them in very high velocity areas. So typically we consider 2-3 foot per day at the maximum groundwater velocity where we would install those. But research just shows that they are not mobilized and travel much further. They really stick to the sand grains where they are injected.
Okay, thank you. Next question here is specifically about wood chips. And the question is, you use wood chips as a carbon substitute. Can you just use carbon instead? And
so
sort of referred to
there are commercial products. One is called Micro-C, which have been used, I think continue to be used in some larger scale installations. But that would be a high cost solution. There isn't just, I think we use wood chips because we want slow release of carbon that's timed with the wastewater. And because there's a lot of wood chips around here. We don't have to pay transportation costs. So hopefully that's adequate answer.
Yeah, okay. The next one here is essentially saying that the science and acceptance of the science and everything is going slowly. So the question is, what does the average Long Islander do as everything is moving along slowly? And is it a good idea to encourage some point of use proactive prevention?
What was the last part of that?
Wouldn't it be good to encourage some point of use proactive prevention?
Okay. So the program goes, it seems like it's going a little slowly, but it's not. Upgrading your septic system is a process, and it starts by getting the homeowner to agree to upgrade their septic system, and then navigating the programs, or the county programs, all the things that are available to to pay for their systems. So the most important things that people can do is to get started. Submit the grant applications. Your application, they will get to your applications. There was a grading system where they're trying to get to those systems that have failed systems, but the county's working on improving every step of the way. Passing that referendum was great because now there's resources. They used to run out of money with the grant program. Now there's resources to hire their staff to get these things moving faster to get it. But the most important thing you can do is work on your individual property. And what I found out working with homeowners, there's nobody that doesn't care about the quality of our water on Long Island. Look, we passed a referendum. We passed a law that's going to tax ourselves. That's how important it is to us. But when it comes down to individual property owners and doing something on their property, they're a little hesitant to do it. But look, your property disruption, that's not permanent. But the groundwater protection from installing these new systems is ongoing.
Can I add to that, Chris?
Yes, please.
So a lot of people ask that they've heard that they might be in a sewer location someday. But sewers take years. And we've got some that are starting, a couple starting this year, very large sewer projects. From the time the shovel goes in the ground, a sewer project's going to take about 2 years to build out before people can even start to hook up. Other areas of the island, mostly in the middle, they're 10, 15, 20 years away from a sewer. So what we've been suggesting to folks is apply for the money, because this money covers nearly all of your construction costs to get an IA system put in. And they function so well, and they're going to last that 10 to 20 years anyway before you get the sewer. So at the same time, while you may have some maintenance to pay for them on an annual basis, it still beats pumping out your cesspool 2 or 3 times a year or having it fail on you. So it's the IAs are terrific for a long-term plan. They're good for a short-term plan if you think you're going to be in a sewer area. There are lots of areas in Suffolk County that are never going to see a sewer. It's just not feasible to put them in. It's too expensive. So it really is, as you said, it's a commitment by the homeowner to say, yeah, you know, we're going to be in this house for a long time. Maybe the house is going to go on to our kids. We all know that children buying homes on Long Island is a huge issue. If this gives them a leg up to make sure they have a safe way to protect their families and give them healthy drinking water, it's a win-win.
Okay, and then a final question, Jen, this will be for you, and that is, are there restrictions on the grants with regard, or preferences for grants with regards to individuals' income or location relative to being near water bodies?
There are no restrictions on income. The county executive has asked that there be no ranking whatsoever other than a failure. In other words, if everybody should apply, if you've got a failure, you're definitely going to the top of the pile in terms of money. There's plenty of money in the program to handle just about everyone that's going to apply. So really, it's an unrestricted. In practice, it's not restricted.
As a contractor and a younger person on the island, the passive nature of some of the systems that you have presented today are very attractive. And I just want to ask if there's anything as a contractor that I can do to educate my fellow people who build things, and if we can bring them here, especially the septic tank workers, so that this information can become more natural to them, because a lot of the things that I've seen here today are new to me. I heard rumors of them a few years ago, and I'm very happy to see that there's a couple of passive options, because I'm as cheap as the day is long, and I don't want to pay to flush the toilet if I don't have to, especially if we go without power. It compounds to now I need a backup generator, now I need this, now I need solar to run the thing. So it's, what can I do as a contractor to smooth this transition and ease people's concerns?
So I regularly reach out to new contractors, hoping that.
No, you were on.
You were on.
But you got to put your mouth right up there. Yeah.
So I'd be very interested.
You're off now.
You're off.
Be very interested in talking to you, maybe at lunch.
Absolutely.
But we regularly have training sessions with DHS for our technologies. So, good question.
Perfect.
I'd be
Thank you.
If there are
happy to talk.
outstanding questions, I'll take those cards and we will respond to those via email. So anybody, if we didn't get to your question or if you have a question we didn't get to answer, put your email on the back and you will get an email from us to answer your question. So again, thank the panel.